Welcome to Unspoken Affairs. In today's story, I want to take you back to a season of my life that changed me forever. Looking back now, I realize something I didn't fully understand then. Sometimes it isn't the grand gestures that hold a family together. Sometimes it's the smallest things, the unnoticed moments that quietly change the course of everything. At the time, I didn't think what I was doing mattered. I didn't think one quiet Sunday evening in our little Ohio home would alter the way my family healed. But it did. And what began as something so simple, just a small act of care, became the foundation of healing we didn't even know we desperately needed. My name is Claire Thompson, and this is the story of my family. My mother, Linda, my younger brother, Daniel, and me. Three people holding on to each other in the shadow of a loss that had shaped everything about our days. My father had passed away 3 years earlier, and though time had dulled the sharpest edge of grief, his absence still weighed on us every single day. It wasn't just that he was gone, it was the way his absence echoed in everything. An empty chair at the dinner table, a missing laugh in the house, a silence that seemed to follow us into every room. Mom was doing her best to hold it all together. She worked at the community library, caring for books and for us, managing late nights and early mornings, smiling through her exhaustion, but I could see it. I could see the way the years of holding so much on her shoulders were carving deeper lines into her face. She tried to make it look effortless. Even a child could tell she was tired. That evening, the house was unusually quiet. It was the kind of Ohio Sunday where the sky softens into shades of gold and lavender, and everything feels suspended, like the earth itself has taken a deep breath and finally exhaled after a long week. Mom was sitting on the couch, her shoulders slumped, her eyes heavy, as though the weight of the entire week pressed down on her. Daniel was at the dining table, his pencil tapping rhythmically against his math homework. I was scrolling on my phone, half present, half lost in that distracted state we all slip into. And then I noticed it, the small, almost imperceptible way Mom rubbed her neck, wincing as she rolled her shoulders. I could see the pain flicker across her face, even though she tried to hide it. I set my phone down, leaned forward a little, and asked gently, "Mom, does your back hurt again?" She gave a soft laugh, the kind that disguises truth rather than shares it. "Oh, honey, it's nothing. Just one of those days. Carrying books at the library, climbing ladders to reach the top shelves. My body isn't as young as it used to be." She said it with humor, but something in me ached at the thought of her giving so much of herself. Day after day, without pause, without anyone giving back to her. She had poured everything into us, into her work, into simply surviving after Dad's death. Rarely did she stop long enough to consider what she needed. The words slipped out of me before I even thought them through. "Why don't I give you a massage? I'm no professional, but maybe it'll help a little." Daniel looked up from his homework with raised brows, smirking. "You, a massage therapist? It's this I've got to see." Mom chuckled and shook her head. "Oh, sweetheart, you don't have to do that." But I leaned in, insisting softly, "Come on, Mom, just sit up straight for a few minutes. You deserve to relax." And for once, she didn't resist. Reluctantly, she turned, her back facing me, her posture stiff. I placed my hands gently on her shoulders, unsure at first of what I was doing. But then a memory surfaced, Dad massaging her shoulders after long days, and the way her entire body would soften under his touch. I tried to mimic that memory, pressing my thumbs into small, slow circles, light at first, then a little firmer. And something incredible happened. Almost immediately, Mom let out a sigh so deep it was as though she'd been holding her breath for years. Her body sagged under my hands, the tension easing little by little. "Oh, Claire," she whispered, her voice catching. "You have no idea how much I needed this." Her words broke something inside me wide open. I suddenly realized just how much she had been carrying grief. Responsibility, the endless tasks of being both mother and father, caretaker and provider. She had done it all quietly, without complaint, without demanding anything for herself. In that moment, the weight she carried was no longer invisible, was right there beneath my palms. And for the first time, I saw her not just as mom, but as a woman. A human being who needed to be cared for. To Daniel, who had been watching quietly, put his pencil down and walked over. In his clumsy but sincere way, he said, "Can I try to? Maybe between the two of us, we can give you the best massage in Ohio." Mom let out a laugh, the kind that's tangled with tears, and soon enough, Daniel was pressing on her arms while I worked on her shoulders. We must have looked ridiculous, children fumbling awkwardly while our mother sat in the middle of it. But then something magical happened. We started laughing together. Not the polite laughter you force when things are hard, but real, genuine laughter. The kind that fills a room and makes the air lighter. For the first time in a very long time, it felt like home again. The heaviness of grief didn't vanish, but it shifted, softened. In that small, ordinary act, something changed. That evening was the beginning of something none of us could have predicted. What started as a simple massage for Mom's aching shoulders became a ritual. Every Sunday night before the week began, we gathered in the living room. Sometimes Mom would massage our hands or feet while we massaged her shoulders. We would talk about everything and nothing: school, silly jokes, memories of Dad, even dreams for the future. Those evenings became sacred to us. They weren't just about relaxation. They were about connection, about healing, touch. Each laugh, each story brought us closer together. The house, once filled with silence, began to feel lighter, warmer. The grief didn't disappear, but it became bearable. For the first time since Dad passed away, we felt whole again. And what we didn't know then was that this little family ritual, this simple act of love given freely, would ripple outward, touching more than just our lives. Because love, when given without condition, has a way of multiplying. Doesn't stop at the person who receives it. It flows outward, touching everyone around as weeks turned into months. I began to notice subtle changes in Mom. She still worked tirelessly, but there was a softness to her again, a glow that hadn't been there in years. The lines on her face seemed less heavy, her laugh more frequent. Daniel seemed happier, till less withdrawn, more willing to share things about his day. And me, I felt more grounded, more connected to both of them. Those Sundays gave us something no doctor, no counselor, no advice could have given us. They gave us each other again, sometimes. I think back to that first evening and wonder what would have happened if I hadn't spoken up. If I had stayed on my phone, letting the moment pass. If I hadn't reached out when I saw Mom's small gesture of pain. How many moments like that do we miss in life? How often do we let opportunities slip away because we think they're too small to matter? But the truth is, it's the small things, the simple acts of kindness, the quiet gestures that change the trajectory of our lives. That's what I learned from my mother. It's what I learned from that season of my life. The Sundays went on, year after year. Even as we grew older, even as life pulled us in different directions, the ritual remained. And every time I think of it now, I realize it wasn't just about massages or laughter or stories. It was about remembering that healing comes in unexpected ways. That grief may never fully leave us, but love's steady. Persistent love can carry us through. And so this is the story I wanted to share with you today. Not because it's extraordinary, but because it's not. Because it's ordinary. Because it reminds us that in the quiet moments, in the small gestures, in the willingness to give without expecting anything in return, we find the strength to go on. We find healing. Sometimes we even find joy again.